Welcome everybody. It is Business Monday here in downtown Providence on GoLocal Live. I'm Josh Fenton, CEO of GoLocal. This is Chris Sanford from Puroclean. He's joining us today, talk a little bit about business. Before we jump into Puroclean, a couple little updates. New hotel opened, got the ribbon cutting today in downtown Providence. And then this morning, some big news at TF Green. Sun Country is going to be flying direct starting in September out to Las Vegas and to New Orleans. Two big new direct flights. Iftikhar Ahmad, since he's taken over there, I think it's coming up on 3 years, has really transformed that airport. A lot of direct flights. You were telling me before, you went to Ireland direct.
We did.
Yeah.
From Norwegian to Dublin. It was fantastic. Very easy.
It's great. Chris, entrepreneur, interesting background, grew up in Rhode Island, off to Holy Cross, then the United States Navy, out of the United States Navy, and you say, I want to start myself a business and I'm going to start myself Puroclean.
Yeah, so I was finishing my last 2 years active duty in the Navy, working, teaching down at Surface Warfare Officer School in Newport, and at night getting my MBA at URI. And I thought I was going to go work for one of these Fortune 500, CVS, Textron, Hasbro, but the more I looked at that, the more, to advance, I'd have to keep moving, and that's one of the primary reasons I was getting out of the Navy was to stop moving every 2 years.
You had done the moving thing.
I had.
Those ships move, then they
move.
move you around from port to port.
Yeah, I'd driven cross country 6 times moving, trying to get back home to family and friends in Rhode Island.
That's great. Franchise structure, Puroclean?
It is. So it was actually a professor at URI. When I told him, I was getting cold feet about the big corporate world, he said, why don't you look at franchises? And I did. I worked with a franchise broker, and they were one of the 10 that I looked at, did some due diligence, and decided to roll the dice.
What year did you open?
Opened 2007.
2007, so you've been at it nearly 13 years?
Yeah, coming up, yep, we're in our 12th year.
And what's transpired? What's been the big learning in developing the company, and what's been maybe the big shocker of all shockers?
Well, I tell people this, it's surprising that it is a franchise because it's not a cookie cutter business. No two jobs are the same. Every day is dynamic and different and can be challenging. It's not like making a burger at McDonald's. It's not just one way to do it. So it's not a business where you can be an absentee owner operator. You got to be all in and committed and focused.
And you guys go in. Somebody has a disaster in their home or business. They call you up and you do what? Yes,
so we respond to water disasters, flooding, fires, electrical, cooking fires, mold issues. So we really get there, and the people are often in a panic. We had a lady call this morning in hysterics because her basement was flooded, and they really need an expert, someone to help them out.
And big, small, do you work with everybody? I mean, if I'm just a little homeowner and I have a broken water heater and it floods the basement, am I calling you?
Yes, so we do residential, and it could be small, one room or a portion of a room affected, and we do commercial. We just we tackled a 8-unit condo loss, one of these luxury high-rises downtown. I won't name, but
wow,
we're able to clean that up and take care of the customers there too.
Yeah, one day we were at home on the east side, and there's black smoke coming off, which was the Textron building. That's got to be, it was a fire on one of the units. I don't know if it was air conditioning or what it was, but the plume of black smoke, luckily the fire department had been able to put it out without piercing the roofing. That size project, everything in between? Everything in between.
If needed, being part of that franchise, we can call on partners from across the country. We do even work with some local competitors if needed. You want to get it done right for the client. And then Puroclean also has a sister company called Signal Restoration. They're just finishing a $100 million project down in Puerto Rico from Hurricane Maria. So.
Oh, my. And then, you're on your folks. How many folks do you have?
We got 15 on staff.
15 on staff. You're on demand kind of 24/7.
24/7, yes.
Yes.
And it seems like, as soon as we're getting ready to wrap up the day is when the calls tend to come in, and we get a lot on Thanksgiving and a lot on New Year's Day, it seems.
Once upon a time in my life, I was assistant director of DEM. Every major, it seemed like, 2 major oil spills, multiple hazardous waste spills, always were Friday afternoons after 5 o'clock. Always.
It definitely seems to be that way. I don't know if it's just more painful because you wanted to go home and you remember them, but you do get a lot of calls for late Friday. We got one just Friday at 5 o'clock last week as well.
Growing the company in Rhode Island, you're up to 15 people. You've gone through all those awkward teenage years. You've been at it for a number of years. What's it been like building it here in Rhode Island?
People ask that a lot, and they talk about the tax structure and the business climate. I mean, I didn't let any of that hold us back. This is where I wanted to do business. This is where the community that we wanted to be in and want to serve. So, regardless, we decided to just, keep moving forward. With good service, we've been growing year in, year out. We had a record year last year.
Congratulations. And then everybody who comes on Biz Monday, especially small business people, the number one challenge is people, it just seems like.
Yes.
And talk a little bit about that. How do you get people? How do you retain people? How do you get rid of the people you don't want to retain? Talk a little bit about that and give any suggestions you have to folks watching.
So that's definitely a challenge. Again, talking to Puroclean owners across the country is hiring, with low unemployment. So we're constantly looking for people. We think if we can find the right people, and even if we don't have a seat open, maybe we need to hire them now to keep them and then get them in a seat eventually. So we are constantly, if a waiter or waitress impresses me, maybe I ask them if they're looking for a change of career.
You're going to get banned at every restaurant.
That's true. We're taking
at
people
Capitol
away.
Grill, they're going to have your picture up, not for bad checks, just don't let this guy sit down here.
No, but I think recognize people that maybe they don't have the experience. I think that's often hesitation to hire someone without experience. But if you think they're motivated, you think they got a personality, you think they can learn,
right.
Maybe give them a shot, and you might be able to get them at a lower price point,
yeah.
and then train them and grow them into that that A+ employee you want.
And how big can you get? You're up to 15 people, and are you 50 people in 3 or 4 or 5 years? Are you?
Yeah, our goal is to at least triple, get
yep.
up into 45 employees. I mean, there are restoration companies across the country that are 100+ employees. There are some, there's room to grow. I know in this market, we could of course expand geographically and cover a larger area.
Where do you cover now? Is it all of Rhode Island? Are you in southeastern Mass? Do you cut into Connecticut? Give it a little.
We cover all of Rhode Island, and
do you consider Westerly part of Rhode Island?
We do. Although sometimes people in Westerly, they're like, "Do you come to Westerly?" I'm like, "It's in Rhode Island." They're like, "Yeah, but you can still come here." I'm like, "Yes, we do."
We have a Westerly story up this afternoon on them spraying for mosquitoes, getting ready for the summer, and I was just. I don't often look at the Westerly Sun. What's the lead story on the Westerly Sun's front page today? A story about the Connecticut legislature considering marijuana legislation. Right? The Westerly Sun's number one story is the Connecticut legislature.
Which would not apply to them. Yeah.
Yeah,
we get the same from Newport, Middletown. Do you come to the island? I'm like, there's bridges. Yes, we can be there in like
there are people who literally never leave the island.
There are.
We had one. He had not. We hired somebody. Did not work out. He had not been off the island in 3 years.
I don't know if that's impressive or sad, or you're missing out a lot, and the rest of the Rhode Island has to offer. I guess it may be a testament to us. We have an employee who commutes from Portsmouth every day.
Wow, that's big.
So
only one bridge, not two.
Yes.
Right.
But only traffic. She's about an hour each way. So.
And you guys are in Cranston now, formerly in Warwick. What should somebody expect when they give you a call? Should they be concerned, let me wait till the next morning, they have the flood, or should they just give you a call whenever the disaster happens?
Yeah, best, especially for water and for fire. I mean, it really doesn't get better with time.
Yeah.
So we, would get the call, and our goal is to get somebody on site within 2 hours. We can assess it and get started, and, the key word is mitigate. We want to mitigate, try and minimize any further damage. So, the sooner the better.
And then do you guys handle kind of the insurance company and get them the information and boil it down and all that, those types of things? We
do. So we'll work with the insurance company, and big piece for us is communication between the homeowner, the insurance company, sometimes the husband and the wife. We got to communicate and keep everybody informed because it's complicated, it's confusing.
Right.
Especially dealing with the insurance company, that can be challenging.
And the legal small type can sometimes be a shocker to the homeowner, I assume.
Yes. They're. It's usually something that they haven't dealt with before.
Right. Most unusual disaster you've ever had? You don't have to name names.
No.
Don't even need to give the geographic area, but what was the
Well,
kind of...
if you've never seen 2 feet of sewage in a basement, you really haven't lived. But that's a challenge for even us. That's a tough one.
That's a good one. Thanks so much for sharing that one with us.
It's after lunch, so.
And worst timing you've ever gotten? Christmas? Have you gotten any Christmas?
We have, yeah. Christmas is tough. Thanksgiving is tough. Even just my guys when they get home, sometimes they'll get home from one loss at 8, 9 o'clock. They just take their boots off and look to relax, and they get another call. So, but they're dedicated. But those are all tough situations.
They're loving you, right?
Mm-hmm.
Right about that. For somebody who forget your space or our space or any kind of, regardless of the business sector, what's your suggestion to folks who are sitting there thinking about, maybe I want to do a franchise, or I want to launch a business, or I want to buy my father-in-law out? What's your number one suggestion to somebody considering opening, stop working for the man, they want to launch their own business?
Talk to someone that's done it.
Yeah.
And see if you can shadow them for a day or two, or at least sit down for a couple hours and really dig in and learn, like, what were the pros, what were the cons, what was their, like you said, craziest thing they've done, worst day, but the best day. When people are selling businesses or talking up, they're generally only positive, right?
Right.
But you want to learn, what's the worst thing that could happen. And I'll tell you, especially if they're not in your local area,
Mm-hmm.
if they're in another state and they're not going to be a direct competitor, people are surprisingly helpful to share and helpful to, they want to help, small entrepreneurs. So I think that's great. Ask, be surprised how much people will give back to you.
A last question. You went through the Goldman Sachs program?
I did.
Yeah. Talk a little bit about them, that program. We've had some other of your peers on, and also had some of the organizers of that project.
Yeah, so the Goldman Sachs program, the 10,000 small businesses, I wasn't sure if I was going to be a good fit. I had my MBA from URI, but that gave me the foundation, and really that teaches you to go get plugged in at a Fortune 500. It doesn't teach you to wear all the hats in a small business. So, the Goldman Sachs program, I think, was better tailored for a true entrepreneur, small business. Helped me polish some ideas that I'd been kicking along for years, frankly. And it also gave me the confidence to finally, pony up to the bar at a bank and, and move forward with a, sizable loan to purchase a building, and, which really has given us the space and the capital asset to grow the business further.
Congratulations.
So, thank you.
Congratulations on all the success. We'll be looking forward to having you back when you hit the 25 people mark, and the 50 and the 100, and hopefully we're only meeting with you on these positive milestones, less so on our own personal disasters.
I tell people that. I'm not offended. You don't never want to call us, but we're a resource there if you need it.
Listen, thanks so much. Really appreciate you coming on.
Thank you.
Stay right here.
Will
We're
do.
going to be back at 4 o'clock this afternoon. We've got Gary Sass, the money man from the Hassenfeld Institute up at Bryant University. We're going to be talking about the city of Providence has got some significant pension problems that they don't seem to be able to tackle, as well as some bad news that came out of an interview Kate Nagel, our news editor, had last week with Mike DeBaise, the Director of Administration, in which it looks like state's not going to hit some of the projected revenue numbers coming in for this next budget coming in. Thanks everybody for tuning in. Thanks so much for coming on. And if you need some help with a little emergency, we know just the guy. It'll be in tomorrow's article with all the contact information.